The courtroom fell silent as Ada lifted her eyes from the divorce papers and whispered, "I hope you practiced how to lose everything, too." Everyone thought she was broken. Her husband, his mistress, their smug smiles, all believed this was her final defeat. But what they didn't know was that Ada had been building her quiet revenge for months, a plan so precise it would turn their victory into ruin, live in front of the world. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It is about a woman who turned humiliation into power, silence into evidence, and a divorce into the greatest comeback you'll ever witness. The judge's voice cut through the quiet courtroom. "Mrs. Ada, do you have anything left to say before we finalize this divorce?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. She knew it was over. "Just sign the papers," someone said. "Ada, don't worry," Clara added with a smug smile. "I'll take good care of him." Ada looked at them both and replied evenly, "You two rehearsed this moment, didn't you?" Ethan smirked. "Yeah, guess we did." "Then I hope you practiced how to lose everything too," Ada said coldly. "Mrs. Ada, what do you mean?" the lawyer asked, confusion flashing across his face. Ada's gaze didn't waver. "Because before I walked in here, I made sure this divorce would cost him more than he could ever imagine." She sat in the courtroom, hands folded neatly in her lap, wearing a simple black dress and the calm expression she had carried for months. The room buzzed with whispers, the faint scrape of pens on paper. Across from her, Ethan leaned back, confident, smiling like a man who thought he already owned the ending. Beside him, Clara laughed softly, a sharp, delicate laugh that carried the arrogance of someone certain she had already won. The judge called the court to order. "We are here to finalize the divorce," he said. Ethan's lawyer slid the papers forward. "Sign here, Mr. Collins. Sign here, Mrs. Collins." The pen felt heavier in Ada's hand for a brief moment. She glanced once around the room, then signed exactly where she was told. The pages fluttered as she placed them down. Ethan leaned back, satisfied. Clara flipped her hair, ready to bask in triumph. The silence that followed felt like an audience waiting for the curtain to fall. But no one in that courtroom realized Ada hadn't come to beg. She had come to finish the story in the only language Ethan understood, proof. As the lawyers began their final remarks, Ada opened a slim envelope resting in her lap. "Your Honor," she said, her tone calm and composed, "there's one document I'd like to add to the record." Ethan and his lawyer exchanged a glance, the kind of look shared by people who still believe they control the narrative. The judge raised an eyebrow and gestured for her to proceed. Ada slid the contents across the bench, a copy of a trust, bank statements, screenshots, and a small flash drive. The judge scanned the title and paused. "The Barrett Family Trust Marital Protection Clause," he read aloud. 6 months earlier, Ada had not been the fragile woman Ethan and Clara believed she was. She had been the one holding everything together, packing lunches, staying up late with spreadsheets, financing the early stages of Ethan's so-called vision. She had turned down promotions, skipped nights out, all for what she thought was a shared dream. But then came the small betrayals. Text messages left on his phone, receipts for dinners she hadn't attended, the faint scent of a perfume she never wore. Humiliation came slowly. A whisper of laughter at a charity event, Clara publicly correcting her pronunciation at a company function, the gradual erasure of her presence from photos and posts. Everyone thought she would collapse. That's why they got careless, but Ada's anger didn't burn. It crystallized. She started collecting. At first, small things. Screenshots, timestamps, digital breadcrumbs left by people desperate to be seen. Then, banking records, transfers to strange accounts, and charges for hotel suites and plane tickets. When Ethan dismissed her questions as paranoia, she quietly began recording their conversations, her phone hidden in her purse. When Clara posted a mocking caption that didn't name her directly, Ada saved the post and extracted the metadata from the image. Every sneer, every belittling laugh, every "she's not our kind" comment, she documented it all. This wasn't revenge. It was patience in motion. Then one night she found an old document, her late father's trust. Fernando Barrett had been a cautious man. In a clause that most would overlook, he'd protected the family estate with surgical precision. All marital assets placed in trust, shielded in cases of abandonment, fraud, or dissolution caused by infidelity. It wasn't vengeance, it was armor. Ada took the document to Dr. Maya Riz, a lawyer known as a quiet nightmare for men who lied too easily. Maya listened, expression unreadable, then gave a small, calculated smile. "We'll work with the facts," she said, "and make them undeniable." They didn't rush to court. They waited, methodical, deliberate, patient. Ada remained calm while Ethan and Clara flaunted their supposed victory. At parties, when Clara whispered smug remarks, Ada simply nodded and took notes. When Ethan bragged about how easily he'd walk away with everything, Ada snapped photos of his messages. She left small traps, bank deposits requiring dual signatures, contracts needing review, and watched him sign blindly, thinking they were routine. And if you're still watching, you can probably feel it, the quiet before the storm, when the one everyone underestimated is about to flip the entire game. So, subscribe and like the video. Let's get back to it. On the day their private life went public, Ethan strutted into the courthouse like a man stepping into his new future. Clara followed, wearing a dress that screamed confidence and entitlement. Their lawyer had prepared a tidy mutual settlement. Quick signatures, clean break, done. The judge labeled the case routine. Ethan even asked to expedite. That's when Dr. Maya Riz stood up, calm, composed. "Your Honor," she said, "before we proceed, we request the court to review the Barrett family trust and the recent financial transactions related to the marital estate." Ethan's lawyer protested. "This is irrelevant to the divorce settlement, Your Honor." But the judge opened the folder. His eyes moved over the clause and his expression changed. It was clear. In the event of dissolution caused by infidelity or misappropriation of marital assets, full beneficial ownership transfers to the loyal spouse, and all accounts are frozen pending forensic audit. Ethan's face drained of color. Clara's confident smile began to crack. Evidence doesn't need to shout when it's real. Maya played the first audio clip. Ethan's voice filled the courtroom, lazy, arrogant, laughing about how he'd diverted funds for vacations and gifts, boasting about the convenience of a discreet mistress. The room went still. Then came the bank records, transfers in Clara's name, unauthorized credit lines, invoices for luxury goods shipped to hotel addresses in Miami. The judge's face hardened, shifting from disbelief to grim understanding. The gallery murmured. Ethan's lawyer scrambled, trying to regain control. Ada stayed silent, calm, steady. When asked if she wanted to add anything, she stood. "Yes, Your Honor. My father believed in protecting the family. The trust is clear. I didn't come here to destroy a life. I came to reveal what was taken." Her words were calm, but they cut deep. The judge, a man who had seen countless families collapse under his gavel, let the law speak for him. He ruled the divorce non-consensual, ordered a full forensic audit, and froze all contested accounts. The sound of the gavel was like the end of a story Ethan had written for himself. Humiliation came swiftly. Clara's expression melted into shock as phones and cameras rose in unison. Ethan stumbled, pale and shaking, trying to explain, to spin excuses, but the judge silenced him. "Mr. Collins," he said firmly, "you thought these papers would free you. Instead, they've exposed you. The law does not reward deceit or theft within marriage." Outside, the story exploded online. Clips from the courtroom went viral. Tweets turned into headlines. The evidence Ada had quietly gathered now defined the narrative. Friends who once pitied her began to apologize. Business partners who once favored Ethan now distanced themselves. His company froze his accounts. Auditors came knocking. Clara deleted her posts, but screenshots lived on, mocking, relentless. Ada didn't gloat. She simply walked out beneath a pale sky, steady, restored. Days later, she signed her own stack of documents, papers to launch Barrett Advisory, her new consultancy. She reasserted her claim on the family estate and began rebuilding, not for revenge, but renewal. 6 months later, Ethan's name was gone from his company. Clara had moved to another city, her career quietly unraveling as the scandal followed her. Ada's success grew quietly but steadily. She began giving talks, first to small groups of women, then to larger audiences. She spoke about strategy, about turning humiliation into leverage, and about patience, the kind that transforms pain into power. Her consultancy flourished. The house that once felt like a battlefield became her headquarters, a space for rebuilding, not breaking. When she crossed paths with Ethan months later at a networking event, he tried to summon the old charm. But Ada only smiled, the kind of smile that closes a book for good. "You taught me everything I needed to learn," she said, and walked away. The story people shared afterward wasn't just about exposure. It was about patience, resilience, and the difference between rage and resolve. In coffee shops and comment threads, people repeated one line. He thought he was signing his freedom. In truth, he signed proof of his own downfall. It wasn't a tale of destruction. It was transformation of a man undone by greed and a woman reborn through clarity and strength. Ada's final words in the video weren't bitter. "People will try to write you out of your own story," she said. "Don't let them."